Welcome to the Brain Collision Repair three-part challenge. This is day one, and we're going to go from collision and chaos to alignment and harmony. And that matches up with what my mission is for the last 45 years is helping those help themselves through better communication skills by understanding what the brain functions are all about. Because the feminine brain does not have thought processing the same as a masculine brain. And I'm sure you've all experienced that over the years. So we're going to dive deeper a little bit into that. First, I want to introduce myself and why I got started in this. I was in the automotive industry for over 20 years. And that's why you're going to hear me talk about collision repair. Because, when you have an issue with your physical vessel, what do? You go to the doctor. Does it get repaired or does it get band-aided? So think about that. What happens when your car breaks down or gets in an accident and it needs some body shop work, right? You take it to the specific shop that's going to repair, not band-aid, repair, right? Because you want it to look and work and function and operate like it did brand new. That's what this brain collision repair challenge is all about, is to help you understand how you can take this physical vessel and take it into the right repair shops to get it functioning in alignment so that you can stay healthier in mind, in thought, in spirit. We're going to move a little bit from the physical into the spiritual because science has come and closed that gap. A lot of the things I'm talking about are going to be proven by science. And the world of spirituality has been around forever in different cultures when you go back in history. It is about that soul essence. And the soul where resides here inside your body. And what is the motor in your body? It's your brain. So everything functions in the brain to fire through the neurological system to send the message out to a particular area to do a particular job. No different than your car. You have an engine and you have a gear shift and you have a set of keys to turn it on. All of those things have to work, but it isn't going to go anywhere if you don't have oil in it and if you don't have gas in it, right? So what are you feeding and fueling yourself? What makes you move out of alignment? When you get in heated conversations and they go south on you because it's like nobody's really hearing. We have two of these, two ears and one of these. It's not about just listening, it's about really hearing what's going on. And then the interpretation and the thought processing between the male and the female brain is completely different. I've been doing this work now for, like I said, 45 years plus, and my mission is to bring harmony and balance not only to yourself, because all your communication starts with yourself, and how you communicate with yourself is usually how you talk with others, how you communicate with others. It is critical and important that you begin to look at how that communication skill is with yourself. Thank you for being here, listening on the replay. And if you got some time, jump in tomorrow for day two. You can just scan that code. What I want to talk about is intention as well. Because when you set an intention, especially when you're going to get into a conversation where there's going to be decision making or masterminding or running a networking group, teaching a workshop, running an event like what's going on here today, or even just working one-on-one with a client, all of these make a huge difference in how you listen to the other person, how you communicate, and what you say, especially now that the world has gotten smaller. Our database of information is getting broader, but we're bringing to the table old database that's stored in that brain and in that cell that likes to come up and just say, hey, I'm right. I've been here longer than you have. New idea, new data information. How do we remove the old database, leave the pertinent things and bring in the new database? Because a lot of times we discover as we grow and we progress in life that some of those truths that we had growing up aren't really true for us anymore because of the information that we've learned and the experiences that we've had. So we want to eliminate some of that trauma, some of that old database. And that's when you start to understand and utilize the tools that I make present for you as well, that you can actually begin to clear out old database that's doing repeat and repeat and repeat, causing you to have the same outcome. So when you're working with a partner in business or a personal partner in life, with the outreach of more entrepreneurs coming in, you have both parties in a personal relationship having their own business or even joint businesses. How do you keep that separated? How do you keep that from boiling over? Those are some of the things that you really need to pay attention to as well. So when you're looking from that perspective as to, wow, what can I do here? When you find getting into a heated argument, it's like hearing and listening, and we're going to teach you what those power words are. What are those trigger words? When you can recognize in yourself what those trigger words are, you can just like, whoa, have your signals when you're in a conversation. You're being triggered here. And now we need a different understanding. It's like, I'm perceiving this, I'm feeling this. What can we do to get a little more clarity on what's going on in the conversation? And that's what coming to the brain collision repair challenge here to take you to that next level up is to really understand how do you repair your communication skills. I mentioned intentions. When you're coming into especially something that's going to be decision making, set an intention, work together on what is that intention today. I looked at my toolboxes and I have several different ones, and it's like, okay, I'm being drawn to this toolbox. My intention for day one of this challenge was to have it run in harmony and be able to deliver the information that's going to make an impact to the listeners, to gain insight into how the brain operates during communication and receive some aha moments. With that being said, I pulled one of the tools out of the toolbox and it gave me balance. These tools come with a focus word and then a message and also a frequency because I work with frequencies. Balance was the tool I pulled today. The message around that is as follows. Life is a balancing act where you must juggle your responsibilities and aspirations, ensuring that neither overwhelms the other, leading to a harmonious existence. Control what you can control, accept what you cannot control, and learn the difference between the two. Now that's relevant when you're in a communication conversation, and especially when with decisions. It's like find that happy medium. So success in life is about mastering the balancing act of life, which involves managing your personal growth, relationships, professional ambitions with equal dedication and care. With that being said, let's move into today's discussion. So the first thing I want to share with you is the right and left brain hemispheres. We all know we have a right and a left brain because we've used that in conversations. We've heard it in conversations. Are you a left brain person or a right brain person? Or maybe a whole brain. When you can become a whole brain person, That's when things get to run smoother and there's less friction and less disconnect. As a left brain functionality, it's more typically associated with language and systems, and also it's built around logic. And all of that comes out of your old database that's kind of running on autopilot. Those things that become your habits, that become your personality traits. They're not always your best friend. So I want you to think about that. Systems work, people don't. But what systems do you have in place? Are they systems that lead in the direction you want them to go? Or are they going off in a direction that repeats an outdated database to get the same results that you've been getting over and over and over? And that's what we call insanity. And it's like, why do I keep doing the same things and keep getting the same results? It's because of that old database running, and it takes charge because it sets in motion the emotional aspects of that right brain. The right brain isn't getting clear messages of creativity. It has the spatial reasoning that sets you off and triggers and goes down an emotional chain of events that just sets you off or shuts you down. Think about that for a moment. When your right brain starts to kick in and overpowers the left brain, when you utilize it in its design, the creativity can begin to shine and start to build strategies. When you can start to loosen up with that creativity juices, start creating and building the specialties and take the value from each, the left and the right brain, and bring them together as whole brain so that you can tap into that database, look at that logic, weigh the odds against the strategy that you just put together in your creativity and say, whoa, this is making sense. The logic, the old logic, does it. Surrender that as being an old truth and let it go. And I have tools to help you let go of the old database that is repeating and running your systems. So now you can move past that, take the systematic and the logic that is going to combine with the strategies and the creativity of the right brain. And now you have a powerhouse that's going to move mountains. You become unstoppable. Opportunities are unlimited. And when you can work with a partner that you're in business with, that you share your life with, or your clients, when you can bring that together by understanding the benefits and the detriments of both the right and the left brain functionality. Now let's go one step further and talk a little bit about more in depth on that masculine brain and why it's detrimental to understand it's all compartmentalized. Now, what do I mean by compartmentalized? I'm going to go back into my automotive ways of describing an analogy here. Let's go to Lowell's and we're going to go down the automotive aisle and we're going to see this big bin that has all these little compartment drawers that we can pull out for this screw and this nut and this bolt and all of these moving parts, all of these compartments. This is what the masculine brain looks like. That data that is stored in there that is solid is exactly just that specific thing in that compartment. And that's why when the masculine brain goes into its conversation, it's pulling that drawer out that's compartmentalized to one specific thing, and it just keeps on trucking until that drawer is completely empty. That masculine compartment is going to interrupt. And it doesn't matter whether you're a male or a female because you got both sides of those brains, and you need to understand which brain is speaking and which brain are you speaking to from the other people that are in that conversation. You can stay in charge of a conversation when you really have this down. Sometimes they call it a personality trait when you can understand who's talking, the masculine brain or the feminine brain. And are they whole brain? When it's all zeroed in on just one direction, you know it's being compartmentalized. Let them finish and then ask, are you finished right now? I'd like to step in here for a moment. And then you continue and where you are. Let them know that you appreciate the comments and how you interpreted it. This is key and relevant. How you interpret, how you heard, not listened to, but actually heard those words that were being said. Because you may interpret them completely different in the way and the manner in which they were spoken. That's when you start to really become whole brain and communicate and understand what the conversation is all about and where that conversation is going to go. That's critical in a conversation where people don't point fingers, have judgment, play the blame game. Everyone's created equal here. Don't take it personal. Let them know how you interpret and vice versa. Let them share that. So when you're speaking from the feminine brain, it's not compartmentalized. Now let's go back into Lowe's and let's take a look at that compartment. And you're going to see every drawer open at a different level, a little bit, a whole many, all over. And if you could see everything that's jumping out there, that's how the feminine brain operates. Now you wonder why it's difficult for a masculine brain to understand what's going on from a feminine's brain's point of view? It's because all the compartments are open. And what that feminine brain is doing is grabbing a little piece from every single one of them. And the masculine brain is saying, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. I got to find that compartment where I stored that. It can't think on its feet fast enough. And that's where the disconnect begins to happen. So, how do we begin to resolve that? Now that you know all the compartments open, or only one compartment is open, becoming whole brain and understanding the logic, the language, and the system building that gets created in that masculine compartmentalized brain to open up the doors and now take a look and a peek into the creativity and the emotion, the excitement that comes in that feminine brain and the strategies and the reasoning. And that's how ideas can come to life without conflict. Ask yourself, work on this. Open up that center part of the brain so that messages can bounce back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, because the masculine brain in its compartmentalization can actually jump into the compartment that's already open on the feminine side and then jump back and find the one in the masculine to get the details. That's how sharing each side of the brain, instead of being selfish, it's sharing what each brain side does. And you're going to find it's really not as difficult and it's not as complicated as it might sound, but it's going to impact how you respond coming from a whole brain versus one or the other. I hope that makes a little sense. And if you have questions after you're listening to this, please comment. I would love to hear your viewpoint and if this has been beneficial and helpful for you. I have one more part of this that I would love to share as well when it comes to the masculine side and the feminine side. And so we're looking at the electrical current in your body for this part. Your brain sends out signals, it fires, and all those messages have to come down the neurological nerves and go and deliver that message wherever it needs to be delivered. And there's a lot of autopilot going on here. But what happens when Houston has a problem? A physical problem or an emotional problem. It's because the firing mechanism of the brain isn't running in full capacity and it's misaligning. And so the messages don't get sent, or they get sent to the wrong database, or something stops the current from getting there. So if you ever suffer from pain, that's a disconnect. It creates an inflammation. Something is out of alignment, and it usually starts with an emotion. So when you can start to look at why the repair shop here is necessary, And it all starts with the brain. You have a collision here causing a problem for that message to not get down there and align. And so once you figure out, and this is one of the things that we teach deep, deep in our boot camps, is how you discover those. And they're very fast to discover. And it automatically becomes like on autopilot. And it's very simple. It's a strategically designed system that you can duplicate over and over and over and make these electrical currents line up. And so when you have that short that's causing the pain, by using some of these tools, it's going to give you that aha wake up moment as to, oh, well, now that really makes sense because the message from the tool helps you to surrender, forgive, release that piece of the old database that was in conflict. You're fighting yourself. The old database is trying to fight the new database. And I'm going to tell you that old database has been there forever and it's got a hold and it is going to hang on for dear life. But there is a secret to letting it go. And that's what we share. So if you want to know how to get deeper into that, we'll talk more of that tomorrow and on day 3. But the third point here now talks about the strength and the power. And this is how the alignment works. The left side's and the right side. You got your masculine side of your body and you have the feminine side of your body. The masculine side is your right side. And that is all strength, that stamina, that courage to just move and keep on going and going. It's the vessel, it's the vehicle. And then when you look at the feminine side, it's the negative charge, but it's the power. The strength comes from the masculine brain and the masculine energy, and the power comes from the feminine brain and the feminine energies. So when you're bringing your right and left brain hemispheres together, you're also bringing together your power and your strength. So one can feed the others. So the right brain operates the functions on the left side, and the left brain operates the functions on the right side. So therein lies is why you get the plus and the minuses in the feminine side on the opposite ends of the spectrum, so to speak. By taking and understanding where your strengths are, so where that strength is, it's your vehicle. The power, where does the power come from? It's the gas you put in that vehicle. It's what moves you forward. It's the starting point. It's the key that turns the engine on and then fuels it to go. So they have to work together. It's not about being right or wrong. It's being a community within yourself and understanding how your brain functions with the alignment in this physical vessel, how you align with humanity, with everyone that you come in contact with. You align with nature. You align with all your senses. You align with your hearing, your physical, your eyes. What do you see? What do you smell? What do you taste? What do you feel? All of these need to be in alignment. And the emotions. Emotions are stored in the body. And when there's an emotional upset, is usually when something shorts out and there's a dysfunction. A dysfunction that is where? Inside your physical vessel. Why do you need the brain collision repair shop? To help you repair the things that are out of alignment. Where would you take your car if all of a sudden you're fighting the steering wheel and it wants to keep going off into the ditch or going into the center alignment and then crash into somebody? What the heck's going on? And it's wobbling. It has something to do with your tires, right? Everybody knows that. So maybe you'll take it to a tire shop to get it aligned. Would you take it to a paint and body shop? Not really. Would you take it to a mechanic? Not really. You take it where you can get the repair done. Now, can these other shops do it? But is it their lane of expertise? No. But when your engine is smoking, where are you going to take it? You darn right, you're going to take it to the mechanic. So what are you going to do when Houston here has a problem? When this Houston right here is out of alignment. It's working with the brain. It all starts here. So remember that the next time things start to run amok and go south, I hope what I explained here today in those three areas of the right and left brain, how that masculine thinking is compartmentalized, how the female brain is like all doors open. We teach you how to shut down some of those doors and also help open a few more compartments so that it really starts to blend instead of having to jump ship from one brain to the next. There's all kinds of little tricks that we teach you, but know and understand too where your power lies and where your strength lies, because that is what's going to bring that harmony and balance into all aspects of your life, your health, whether it's mentally, emotionally, physically, and even spiritually. But remember, it all starts where? It all starts with yourself, and how you communicate with yourself is how you start to communicate with the world. You all have a zone of genius. Isn't it nice to know what you didn't know? Now that you know it, the next question is, what are you going to do with it? So if you want to learn how to get out of collision and chaos, start feeling that alignment and harmony, then maybe you need to reach out and let's get that collision repair going so that every aspect of your life and your business can start to run smooth. Come on a bicycle and we'll send you out intervals. That was a lot we covered today. Please comment and share questions. What you liked, what you didn't like, what was confusing, what you'd like to hear more of. And if you're listening on the replay, type in replay. I want to thank you all for listening here today and paying attention. And hopefully you really got an aha moment, at least one aha moment out of that. And I want to just say thank you. Scan that code and come back tomorrow for day 2, where we're going to capitalize on a few more things, where we're going to go deep into the limbic brain and talk about a little more in depth on those moving parts and how that firing engine really gets to take off. Thank you all again for listening and share, scan that code. I'm going to sign off for now.